Here we go. Can you believe it? The 1st of December, the very first door of our 2023 Advent calendar is now upon us. I am beyond excited about delving in and getting creative with what is behind door number 1. And I know so many of you are as well. So many have been waiting for this day. You've been waiting on this video dropping for you to, of course, watch and enjoy as to what's going to be made from the item that is behind door number 1 of our Advent calendar. If this is your very first year watching these videos from the Advent calendar reveal, it's so lovely to have your company when it comes to here on my YouTube channel. It's such a joy to be able to do this yet again this year, although doing it slightly different here on my Crafter's Companion YouTube channel, whereas most of them are all videos. Now, some of them will be lives throughout the month of December, and I shall let you know in due course and in advance as to which ones will be live, so do not worry. But the main thing is the videos are here, the tutorials are here for when it comes to our Advent calendar. And of course, if you are someone that's been watching these videos, these lives that I do for a couple of years now when it comes to the Advent calendar, it's lovely to see you coming back once again. While you're here, you're watching me on my Crafter's Companion YouTube channel, please of course do hit subscribe. That's going to be the best way, the quickest way to be enjoying the videos that I do here with the Advent calendar. But what to do, the most important thing is hit that bell, because as soon as the brand new video is uploaded every single day when it comes to the Advent calendar, then of course you will be notified. And if you enjoy the videos, do give me a thumbs up, because that would really be appreciated for sure. Now, all that's done, it's out the way now. You want to see what's behind door number 1. You want to be opening it with me. Have you managed to wait? Have you opened it beforehand? Whether it's a couple of days before or before you've come along and watched this video this morning, or are you being really good and waiting and open it as I do it right now? Let's do it. Let's dive in and see what we've got behind door number 1 from our Advent calendar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out just a little bit more for us to delve into the delights of our Advent calendar. Let's go in, let's open and see what we have got. Now, I know it's on the right hand side, could be on the left, but it's not. It's on the right hand side. Let's bring it in anyway. Am I teasing too much? Let's have a look. We've got, of course, onto the right hand side. It's definitely here, and it's up in this corner right now. Number 1 of our Advent calendar. So let's delve in and open. I don't know about you, but when it comes to my Advent calendars, I have to open them carefully. I don't like ripping the doors. It's just me. It's me being pernickety. But let's open. Oh, the delights, that sound. We've got our embossing folder. We've got our 2D embossing folder, 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 of an inch. Let's move that out the way, pop that out the way for now, and let's see what we can do with it. Now, when it comes to this embossing folder that we've got here, we've got our rose, we've got our floral, and then we've of course got that butterfly. Now, what I should say is, if you are new to these videos, or for the Advent calendar anyway, we're going to do a lovely mix over the next 24 days. So within this very first one here, this first one is going to be quite simplistic, but with a few techniques thrown in. Some will be simplistic, some will be a little bit more advanced, some will just be using the item that's behind that door of that day. Some of it, as the days and the weeks go on, what we'll start to do is we'll start to bring in some of the previous items from the previous doors and mixing it all together. And you may just see a few little sneaks from last year's Advent calendar brought in when it comes to the projects for this year. But let's just go in, let's dive straight in, and let's play when it comes to our embossing folder. Now, for this one, what we're going to do is we're going to use our Pale Fig Water Reactive. I've got a lovely little 4x4 card blank that I've got here, and then I'm also going to use my silver metallic pens. I'm going to go in with the 3mm one here. I'm going to use that one. I've got some silver gems just to use at the end, and the other thing that I've got as well, white multi-purpose and also some watercolour card. So let's move all that out of the way for now. Let's bring in our watercolour card. And what I'm going to do with our watercolour card is I'm going to cut this one to 3 3/4 by 3 3/4, because of course our card blank is 4 by 4, so I've got it 1/4 inch smaller. And then I'm going to bring in my white multi-purpose, and because my embossing folder is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to 2.5 by 2.5 inches. So we'll be able to see that that is then going to fulfill the full design of our embossing folder. So that is that one. So let's move that out the way for now. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring in our pale fig. Now we're going to do our letterpress technique. And for this one, I'm undecisive as to where I want that letterpress. Do I want it to be on the front or do I want it to be on the back? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do both sides. And then once I have then got that reveal, I can decide what side I like best. So now that I've got my folder all inked up, and once again, that was pale fig that I've used, we're going to go in and I'm just going to pop my cardstock over the top, and then I'm going to close that, and then we're going to come in with our plates. Now, because it's a 2D embossing folder, it's our 2 cutting plates, but I still like to add in my metal shim. I'll add my metal shim in. I'm using my junior plates. You might be using your large ones, which is absolutely fine. Either way, I do like to add in my metal shim. So we're going to let that run through, and then once that's done, we're going to bring this back in, and then we can have a look as to what side we like best. So that is the debossed side, which is lovely. And then we've got, really like that one. I love that side. So the ink has been letterpressed onto the backdrop, and we're left with this beautiful strong white outline. Like that a lot. So we're going to use that side. I'm going to take a wipe for now, just so I can clean my glass mat. And then, do you know what, while I'm here, let's take all that excess ink off, so then I can leave that to dry. I can clean my hands with this as well, and it won't go to waste, because what I'll then do is just pop it into my little tub at the side that I can use to clean up after. I'm just going to dry my hands off as well. And then I want this to be really quite stripped back in colour. So this is why I'm going to be keeping it to the white, keeping it white and pale fig. So what I want to do is I want to give my layer, my embossed layer, a matting layer. So therefore, because that was 2.5 by 2.5 inches, let's come along, and then we're going to add in another layer that's 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. That's going to give us a nice crisp white outline on the outside. Can move that out of the way. And then for the backdrop, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come along, and then I'm just going to add in my pale fig once again. I'm going to bring in my watercolour card. So I've got my watercolour card that we can see here. And then what I'm also just going to do is I'm just going to tap and dab onto my glass mat here. So I'm just going to add a nice little coverage of ink. I'm going to move those layers out the side. And then I'm just spritzing with water. Now, you can use your Spectrum Noir water spritz that we've got here. But because I spritz quite a lot, I've got an old cleaning bottle. Gave it a good clean, washed it out, and then I used that. So it just means I don't need to top up all the time. And then what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to keep picking up. I'm just going to go in, kind of hopefully getting a bit of a marbly effect as we go all the way round, picking up each way. You can see here, into there, and then I'm happy with that. Really happy with that, in fact. So then what I'm going to do is, so I don't waste any. Let's take another strip that I've got left over, and I'm just going to keep picking it up so that I don't waste any of that. Once this is dried, I can come along and then I can then die cut into that, or emboss that, or that could be my own card blank if I want it to be. So that is pretty much that. Let's take that wipe once again and just wipe up all that excess. What I'm then going to do is take my heat tool, because I want to do a little bit more to this. So I'm just going to go in with my heat tool. Let's get this knot out on my heat tool, plug it in, and then I'm going to dry it. So I'm going to come along and give this a waft. So let's dry this off here. Work that all the way around, just so that we can give that a good dry. Because what I'm wanting to do is we're going to do another little bit of faux bleaching in a minute. Well, not another one, we've not done one yet, but we're going to do some faux bleaching. You can see here. So let's dry that off. I'm going to take any condensation off, because that condensation I don't want to react with my water reactive. So let's dry that. If you dry it with your heat tool, it will have an inkling to bend and buckle. So therefore, what you're wanting to do is heat from the back as well, and that'll keep it semi-flat. There we go. So now that we've got that at that stage, what we can then do is bring in our water spritz again. I'm going to lightly spritz, and then I'm going to leave that just for a moment or two. I'm going to leave that for a moment, so that what will happen is that will start to react. That will start to react with our ink, hence why it's called water reactive ink. And the longer you leave it, the more it's going to pull out the colour. It's going to bleach it. Full bleaching effect. So once we've done that and left that for a moment or two, what we're going to do is press like so. And then we've got our splattered effect. How cool is that? So smart. And then what you can do if you wanted to is you can go in with a little bit more pale fig onto our glass mat, tiny little bit of water on a paintbrush and flick it. However, this is when my silver comes in. So I'm going to dry that off slightly again. And then instead of flicking some of the pale fig, what I'm going to do is flick some of the silver. So let's dry that off. Dry to flatten. And then once you're happy with that, we're going to be good. So leaving that now as it is, I'm going to take in a little bit of scrapper that I've got just to get this going. So we're all good. We are flowing all well with the silver. And then I'm just going to tap. Now, if you need to tap with a bit of force, if you find it a little bit too sore on your finger, you could just do it against a paintbrush or a ruler or something like that. Just something so that what we can then get is we can get all of, there we go, all that silver splatters over the back. I'm going to tap a little bit harder and get some more. And that is all that I'm going to do when it comes to the silver. So if I come in just a little, there we go, you can see it, there we go, all of that silver splats all the way throughout the back. So then let's clean that up so we don't get any of the silver on the back of our card. So let's take that all away. We're just going to dry that off as well. Let me zoom out that a little bit more. And then I'm going to give that a dry as well. I'm going to let that dry. So it's all heat set together. Like so. That's fine. Flatten that one out. Let's bring back in our emboss layer. I'm going to come in with my tape. Now, of course, you can use your chosen adhesive of choice. I'm going in with my double-sided tape that I love to use, always my go-to wherever applicable. And then going to take my poke tool. Let's take the backing off of this one. So other than the white matting layer that I've given it, no additional mats and layers, just a little bit of fun with our ink, our water reactive ink pads. You can, of course, this is going to go onto a box. No, it's not. This is going to be going onto a card. You can, of course, put it onto a box lid if you want to. You could come along and then you could colour in some of these little bits, but I just love that crisp, clean effect. And I thought it's two good techniques to do for the very first video. Certainly if you're new to these videos, new to crafting when it comes to the advent calendar, then two really good confidence boosters when it comes to the techniques of letterpress and also from the faux bleaching. And if you didn't have a silver metallic pen, you can always use something like a grey ink pad if you want to, and do as I described with that. Decant some of it, tap some of it onto your glass mat or your craft mat, and then you can come along, add a little tiny little bit of water. You don't want to dilute it too much with your paintbrush, and then tap the ink onto the background using the paintbrush. So there's another option for you. So this is now kind of like our marbled background that we've created. We're going to add that into here. And this is going to be a sentimentless card. You can add a sentiment if you want to, but I'm going to then pop that one just over the top. So let me come along with my foam pads here. We're just going to add the foam pads into place here, and then what I can then do is take the last few there and then there. So I'm doing it so it's a top fold or a tentfold card at the top. That's going to go right into the middle, just there. And then what I want to do with all of my projects this year when it comes to cards is do an insert. Now the inserts will be blank. You can put your own sentiment or your own verse or anything like that in there, but I want to add my insert into them all. So because my card blank is 4x4, I've got a bit of lilac here, so it's just lilac linen cardstock from, I want to say it was from Once Upon a Time. And I've cut that to 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. And then I'm going to come along with a piece of white multi-purpose, and I'm going to cut that to 3 1/2 by 3 1/2. Let's move that out the way. And then let's bring in my layers here. So I'm going to add them in to here. So that can go onto the back just there. We're going to do the same onto my lilac, which is my linen cardstock. I just want to make sure that I'm putting my tape onto the opposite side. So let's add that on. I've got a little bit of lilac on there, but never mind. Take our layers off here, here and here. That one can then go onto there, and then what we're going to do is pop that onto the inside, and that will be our inside ready to write our message. Because maybe as time goes on, maybe you're not too sure as to who you're going to be giving these to. So at least if the blank insert's done, ready for you to write your message, stamp afterwards, or you can print out a little verse and then pop it into there. But at least it's all ready for you. And then last but by no means least, I'm going to come in with some gems. I've got some silver gems here, and I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. They are self-adhesive, but if you watch me, you know that I will still always put some glue onto the back. So do 1, 2, 3. As I said before, I'm not doing a verse on this or a sentiment on this one. You can do. We're just going to leave that blank. Maybe a nice little card to give to someone who you're also giving flowers to. You know how you get a little card to go with the flowers? Could be something like that. But then if I just budge and line them up into place just there, press that in, and then there we go. We've got our little 4x4 card that we've made. So we've done our letterpress technique with our folder. So it's our folder that came from door number 1. So it's a gorgeous rose with the butterfly. You've got that at 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, and it's a 3D folder. We used our pale fig, and we've done a letterpress technique with the emboss onto our white multi-purpose. Onto the back, we cut that one. We cut that one down to 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. Inked up our glass mat, spritzed, tapped, dried, and then we spritzed with some water, created that faux bleach and lifted some of that colour up, and then we tapped some of our silver metallic pen over the back, assembled, we added in our little blank insert, and then added some gems on just to finish off. And there we go. There is our very first project, our very first card that we've then created from what was behind door number 1, and that was of course our advent calendar. And then there we go, a little bit closer up for you to see. So if I bring that in, let's just bring that in, let me look to see that you can see that a lot better. There you go. So it's nice and subtle with the pale fig, but then you might want to go bright. You might want to go bright with one of the other many colours that you've got from your water reactive. You might want to use pigment. You might want to do duet. Whatever it is you want to do, you can of course use. But a nice little simplistic card. Of course, you can then form that into an easel card, a twisted easel, a box lid. It could be in the front of a stepper or a side stepper. There's so many different connotations and ways in which you can take that card and technique and then transfer that into other areas and avenues. So I hope you really enjoyed that one. Hope you liked that one. Nice and simplistic to start off with, but of course popping in a couple of few techniques there for you to of course follow. But they were. That's it. Very first one done. I know that I'm already looking forward to seeing what's behind door number 2 and getting creative with that. So hopefully you can come along, tune in and join in when it comes to the reveal of our advent calendar door number 2, which is going to be tomorrow. Looking forward to that one. But again, as I say, I hope you've enjoyed this first one here. The very first opening, door number 1 of our advent calendar 2023. And that is what we've made. But until next time, till tomorrow, we'll see you again very, very soon here on my Crafter's Companion YouTube channel for our Advent Calendar reveal. We'll see you then. Bye.